Yeah, guys, so, everyone knows about what's going on in this building. You know, you don't need me here standing, telling you about Jimmy Savile, Hugh Edwards, Chris Denning, Alexander Westwood. You know, it's an absolute disgrace. And you know what? These are the people that attack free speech. Free speech in this country is under attack, yet free speech is protected under the human rights, Article 6. We have a right to speak out, but yet there's people like the BBC that constantly call people that speak out, or anybody that dares to stand up to an establishment, whether it's the BBC, whether it's government, whether it's our police that are covering up, whether it's social services, you dare to stand up to authority, and these people working in these buildings will brand you far-right thugs. We are not far-right to stand up for our children. It is not far right, it is 100% right. And if you people in that building, the BBC bosses that are hiding and go away, like the cowards that you are, you send your security out to fight your battles for you. Where are you? Where are you? Come down and speak to the public. Come down and explain why Hugh Edwards has still got a BBC pension and is paid for by the people that pay their licence fee. Why when he went to court, why wasn't he sacked straight away? But no, you suspended him on full pay. This is a disgrace. And all this is being funded by you, the British people. The message is today, axe the pedo licence, because that is what you're paying for. You're not paying for a TV licence, you're paying to fund paedophilia, what is happening in their building. Why the bosses of the BBC constantly turn that blind eye. Children have died in this town. A child on there, there's a banner over there full of victims that have died at the hands of their abusers. A child has died in this town. Yet the BBC would rather moan about us putting a few banners up on their windows. They don't care about the children. Have you guys some security from the BBC who've been paid for? Have you got anything to say? You got anything to say about the children that have been constantly abused here? Or are you just going to turn that blind eye the same as them? Hey? Exactly. The silence says it all. It don't matter. These people that were sent out today, you are paedophile protectors. You're protecting the paedophiles of the BBC. And it's not only Savile, there's many, many more that has been convicted, and you'd rather stand with paedophiles than stand with the children, and that is shame on every single one of you. And your own journalistic union, the NUJ, they don't care about the children, but tell lies. Your own programmes, Panorama, the BBC's leading documentary show, primetime documentary show, you constantly lie about organisations that stand up to you. You constantly lie. You constantly fail to tell the truth. Yet on your website, you claim it is all factual. It's not factual. You're a bunch of liars. You're paedophile protectors. And that's what you are. Save our children. Now, it's not only in here, guys. Up and down this country, we've seen children get sexually abused by these grooming gangs that have operated in every single town and city. Police have turned a blind eye to that. We've now seen in Rotherham police officers being arrested. That has got to be repeated in every single town and city. Here in Manchester, Telford, Rochdale, Oldham, Blackpool, Newcastle, Islington, Peterborough, Oxford. And it's so depressing that the list goes on and on and on. It's an absolute disgrace. These police officers are being arrested in Rotherham. That has got to be repeated every town and city. Here in Manchester, a social worker just a month ago, arrested because he allowed a child rapist into a care home. These children are vulnerable. They're in the care system. Yet an adult predator was allowed in to her care home to sexually abuse a young girl. That girl is on there. She lost her life because that perpetrator gave her a heroin overdose and she died. And that girl's name is Victoria Agoglia. She will never ever be forgotten. Every single person on that banner have lost their lives to their perpetrators. And the BBC, have you got anything to comment about that? Have you got any comments to the families? You know what I mean? Even the case of Victoria Goglia, you lied, you twisted the truth. You twisted what the truth was to suit your own agenda. The grooming gangs, you don't report on the grooming gangs impartially. You're a disgrace. You cover up for these grooming gangs that are constantly grooming our children, and anyone that stands up to it, anyone that's brave enough to hit the streets and stand up to it, you vilify. You try and tear them down. You try and get them arrested. You try and get them taken off the streets. And the number of times, guys, this is ridiculous now, because the number of times I see perpetrators, paedophiles, walk into our courts and come out on community orders, and the excuse comes out, oh, we've got no prison spaces left. We've got no prison spaces in Britain. Yet on the same day, I see somebody walking into court for telling the truth on social media, and they're jailed for 2 years for telling the truth. Yet you're driving let paedophiles walk out of their courts. It's a sham. It's a disgrace. And that myth of saying we've got no prison spaces, the release of people that you have jailed for speaking the truth, for telling the truth on social media. Who would you rather have in prison? Somebody who tells the truth on social media, speaks out, or a child rapist? But a child rapist. There was a case of a child actually sexually an adult sexually abusing a child. He walked out of court in Wales, in Cardiff, because there are no prison spaces. That does not wash. And the BBC, mark my words, one day you will face justice. Every single one of your BBC bosses, we will not stop this fight until every single victim gets their justice. Every single perpetrator at the BBC who has been involved in this gets locked up. And all the BBC bosses who are listening from that building up there, we will not stop the fight until you are brought to justice as well for your cover-ups. 1,350 victims of Jimmy Savile, and you lot allowed him to get away with it for years. You knew about it, everybody knew about it, even the BBC staff knew about it. But they wasn't allowed to speak about it. They was given gagging orders not to speak, and it's an absolute disgrace. You are the pedo protectors, and we are standing up to the fascists like you who think it's okay for these predators to groom our children. Enough is enough. Come down and speak to us. Don't send your security to fight your battles. Come down and speak to us today. Speak to the public and tell the public why you felt it acceptable to cover up for Jimmy Savile, to cover up for Hugh Edwards. On the night that this sex complaint went in about Hugh Edwards, what was the BBC boss's response? To go out clubbing with him, to go out on the piss with him. They don't care about the children, and they never have. And you claim you've learnt your lessons from Jimmy Savile. You haven't learnt your lesson. You're still the same pedo broadcasting cooperation you have always been. And that will never change until people stand up and more people come and stand up to people like you. Paedophile protectors.